I just want to know, have you ever been curious about unlocking your intuition and enhancing your life? I know I am, Cate. And so that's why we have our wonderful guest with us today. Cate, I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about you. And after that, if you want to add anything, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. I want the folks to know who we have here who's gracing the stage today, the virtual stage that is. And once I tell you about Cate, we're going to get into a number of questions. Cate, I have a lot of questions for you today. Folks, I also want you to get your journal. Make sure you have something to write with, some paper, if you will, and a pen, because the information that will be presented here today will be life changing. Cate, she is so wonderful. I met her recently and I just fell in love with her spirit and I loved everything that she's about. And so I invited her here to share with us today. She is dedicated to helping people improve their lives. She is a dedicated healer, educator with a passion for improving and empowering others to create the lives they desire. She holds degrees in marketing and in French. And she actually has a master's degree in French and global management. And she has combined her academic management, or her academic background, I should say, with extensive training, including advanced studies in neuroscience, which is my jam. She also studied the Silva Method, and we're going to be talking about that today, and the rapid eye technology. And as a Silva Method instructor, advanced rapid eye technician, advanced sound healer, and yoga therapist, Cate helps clients release stress and trauma while activating their intuition and their sixth sense, or their clairvoyance. We're going to talk about that. As a clairvoyant herself, she teaches both adults and children how to develop their intuitive abilities, even guiding children to read with a blindfold to prevent traumatic events. And she's learning. That's how we met, in a learning environment. She's evolving, and Cate really enjoys working with clients who are eager to embrace change and move forward. And that's why I have her here today. Cate, I want to turn the floor over to you. Is there anything else that you would like to add to that introduction?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Michelle. It's really great to be here. And yes, there was actually a very pivotal time in my life, and that's what caused me to start to study more about neuroscience and the brain. I was asked to serve on these two committees for the state of Utah to help victims of violent crimes, and that opened up my world of what happens with the brain and trauma. And I was like, something's got to, like, this is not okay if someone goes through a traumatic event and it's just game over for them. And that's what really brought me to the place that I am today. I went back to school. I studied rapid eye movement to see how we could start to process that trauma and change. Because, I mean, we have this neuroplasticity. It's like, well, then let's use it to our advantage.
Yes, so good, so good. You see why I love her? Yes. And again, we were in a learning environment. So I saw her in action as well. And I told her, we were sitting at the table, and I said, you need to come on my show. And thank you for agreeing to be here. And so we talked about also the Silva Method. And I know that's one of the programs that you offer. And so I want to just jump right into it and ask you, what is the Silva Method and how did it originate?
Well, the Silva method, it was originated by a man named Jose Silva. He's since passed on, and he had no formal education. His dad died when he was little, and so he was the oldest male. He had to go provide for that family. And so he was self taught and essentially started becoming someone who was trained to fix televisions and radios. And he wanted to provide a better education for his children. So he studied psychology, he studied hypnotherapy, and then for a living, he also learned and knew about radios and televisions and the frequencies that went along with that. And what he learned is that through our brain, we operate normally in the beta brainwave state. And so if we go into a lower frequency state, the alpha brainwave state, we can release stress and trauma, we can also program, and we can create. So he learned this. Then he said, I'm going to practice on my kids. Let's see if we can make them smarter. Let's see if they can do better at school, because he never had that opportunity. So his kids started doing exceedingly well at school. And then all the neighbor kids started coming around asking as well. They started doing super well. Then their parents were like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Can you help us? So over a period of 20 years, he developed this. Then in 1944, he came up with it and said, wait a second, before I take it to the public. So here he's teaching the neighborhoods, he's teaching all his family and friends. He said, let's do 20 years more of research. And then he did that. Then he brought it to the public in the 60s. And then from there, there's millions of people trained. And now what it is today is you can go to a 4-day live event and activate your intuition and develop your clairvoyance. And as you practice the tools, literally you can go off the chart. So one of the key things that I love about this is if your intuition is activated, you've got your spidey senses going on, you have information the average person does not have. So if you're like, you know what, I got to get off on this freeway exit. I'm not sure why, but I kind of get this feeling I should. And you do. And then you drive by and you're like, oh, there was an accident I just missed. That's your intuition. So it's getting those little hints. It starts out as a flash. And then as you continue to practice, it can just become a normal, everyday thing for you. I mean, I can give you a really quick example. I was back east and I knew I had to come back to the West Coast. And I had a friend say, oh my gosh, stay another day. And I clearly felt, no, you got to get on that plane tonight. I said, thank you so much. And no, I've got to get back tonight. Little did I know that there was a hurricane coming and literally hit the next day. So there's things like that that your spidey senses. I mean, I don't watch the news, but I found out the next day and I was like, you know what? Thank you so much. Because it's a matter of your brain being fully connected so that you can receive this information.
Yes, that is so good, so good. I have experienced similar things where I got the information, and then I listened, but it didn't necessarily turn out the way that I thought it
Hmm.
would. And as we progress in the program, I want to bring up a couple of examples and just ask for your feedback on that. And so thank you for sharing that with us. And so that was a great introduction to what it is. So what are the core principles and beliefs that are really underlining the method?
Well, some of the key principles with the Silva method are one, you got to get in your body. You got to be in your body. A lot of people, when it comes to stress or trauma, they disassociate and they go. Who knows where they go, but they're off. You know, when you look at people and you're like, the lights are on, but nobody's home. The first thing is let's get you in your body. And then once you're in your body, let's reconnect your right and left brain hemisphere and your front and your back. Most people only operate in one part of their brain. So when you're only
Hmm.
operating in one part of your brain, you don't have full access to all the possibilities and all the information that you could have. So first, it's like, let's get you in your body. Second of all, let's get you fully connected. So your right brain is connected to your left brain, and then the front and the back is fully connected. And then the third principle is let's go from that beta brainwave state into the alpha brainwave state. And so we teach that specifically how you can do that, and you can do it on your own. He's literally wrote over 30 books. So he teaches you how to do it on your own. But if you want the fast track, come to a 4-day. It makes it so much easier. And then you also start to become a part of a community. So I have a community that we have created, and it is amazing. Last night, so in our WhatsApp group, once you graduated and everything, you're part of a WhatsApp group, and someone had lost something, and they said, hey team, show me where this object is. And so everyone chimed in. They used their spidey senses to go ahead and see where it was. And guess what? That person found it and was like, thank you so much. I so appreciate that. So it's a matter of let's come together, let's help each other out. It's like when one wins, we all win. So let's all lift each other up and win. And as you do your part to be fully connected in your brain, my gosh, you're helping not only you, there's a ripple effect to everyone in your world.
Yes, that is so, so good. So, so good. So now my question really piggybacks off of what you just said about getting your whole brain involved. And so you mentioned, we typically operate out of one side of our
Hmm.
brain, but it's getting the whole brain involved. So can you just explain a little bit more about that so our audience can have a more understanding? I think you did a great job initially because you pointed out the sections, but just a little bit more there.
For sure. So most people, they operate in the beta brainwave state. The only time they know about the alpha is right when they go to sleep and right when they wake up. You know that moment right before you wake up and you feel just kind of like you receive information. Sometimes you're even coming out of a dream. That's how
Mhm.
most people know the alpha brainwave state. But what they don't know is that you can actually start to experience the alpha brainwave state while you're awake. You can experience it all throughout the day. So we operate in the beta brainwave state. Okay. Well, that's a higher cycles per second. If you go into the alpha brainwave state, basically everything slows down. Well, why does that matter? When it slows down, it also lowers all the barriers. So you have access to more information. So, how do we do that? Well, I teach you a number of tools over the 4 day how we can do that. But essentially, we're going from a beta brainwave state and we're slowing down the cycles per second into an alpha brainwave state. And I know we talked about this because you also love the brain and like what we can do. And it's a matter of, yes, of course, most people operate in beta, but we can also operate in alpha. We can operate in alpha at our jobs while driving, and we just have access to more information. You can be even in a walking alpha state. And, there are some other doctors that teach this, and I think it's fantastic because it's a matter of then you are in control of your body and you have access to this information, and it doesn't mean the information is right or wrong or good or bad. It's information. Then you can decipher of, you know what? I think I am going to get off that freeway exit. What's it going to hurt? Maybe take a couple more minutes, but something says just get off.
Mhm. Yes, so good, so good, so good. So, a quick question for you.
Mhm.
The other brainwave states, such as theta
Mhm.
and gamma, and those states, do those states come up as part of the Silva Method training?
Yes, we do talk about all of them. So, I mean, most people, like I said, they hang out. I don't have a picture of it right now, but they hang out in the beta brainwave state. So, that's a higher cycles per second. Then, initially, so if we're talking about REM sleep, then we go into the alpha brainwave state. And that's where we basically prepare our body to go into sleep. And then from there, we dip down into a slower cycles per second into the theta brainwave level. And so, well, why does that matter? Because it's a slower cycles per second. So when we go into the theta brainwave state, a lot of people will go into REM sleep. Why? Who cares? REM sleep is one of the best things ever because it's our body's natural way to discharge stress. But most people, because they have so much to do, their circadian rhythm or their sleep cycles are shortened. So they're not
Mhm.
able to release that discharge of stress during the sleep cycles. A normal sleep cycle is about 90 minutes. Well, if you're only sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night, that's significantly shortened. Well, you can use these different tools while you're awake to discharge that stress as well. So, yes, there are other brainwave states that we can go into. One of the main ones that we focus on in Silva Method is the alpha brainwave state. And again, why? Because we can release stress and trauma, and then we can also create. And your brain, I mean, a lot of people are like, your whole body is a commander. Actually, it's the brain and the subconscious. The subconscious rules the show.
Yes, so good, so good. I love that. I know I want to walk around every day being able to readily release stress because we know that that produces cortisol within the body, that neurotransmitter that's harmful to us. I know that cortisol has its purpose in the body, but we don't want to operate in that cortisol driven. That's the best way I know how to say it. We don't want to operate from that perspective every day, and a lot of people do. And so that's why this information is so valuable and what you do is so valuable. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to move on to another question because I can stay there all day long. So how does the Silva method help in activating and enhancing one's intuition? You kind of touched on it, but I know we can unpack that a
Yeah.
little bit more.
So essentially, we teach you how to get into this alpha brainwave state at will. So you may be in a stressful situation at work and you can feel like your blood boiling. You can feel it all coming up and you're like, and you're at work and you're like, I cannot have an outburst, but I can feel all the feels, where sometimes you feel that anger rising or that nervousness, that worry. And you're like, and I'm in a conference meeting and I can't do anything. Actually, you can. There are tools that you can use to start to lower the stress rate, start to literally let it all go, and then also tell your brain, hey, I got you, I got your back. We don't have to go to these heightened states anymore. And so it's
Yeah.
a lot of like, this is one thing that I do all the time. This is not Silva Method, but it's like where I say, thank you so much, body, for letting me know how you feel. Right now is not the time to have that. So let's talk about that tonight. When we're at home alone, we'll talk about it. But for the here and now, let's take a deep breath. Let's release it. Let's let it go. Let's be here and present. And then I will just allow myself, and if it's okay with you, I'll share a quick little tool so you can
Yes.
just get yourself reconnected. A lot of times, when you're in that situation, what happens? You see people start to move around and they're like, because they can feel the energy. Yet at the same time, they can't walk out of a conference room. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel it. So you can move around a little bit. Or if you want to just onto the conference room table, take your right hand and just touch your left knee. And then your left hand, touch your right knee. What are we doing right there? We are reconnecting the right and left brain hemisphere. So we're saying, hey, body, I got you. It's time to calm down. We went into one part of the brain. We're going to go back to two parts of the brain. So you just kind of, it's called the cross crawl. This is actually created from Brain Gym. Why does that matter? Because when we get into these heightened states of emotion, we're hanging out in only one part of the brain. We want to go back to the whole brain. We want to be connected right and left brain hemisphere and front and back. Because then at that point, we won't make crazy rash decisions. So there are multiple tools that we teach, but I can't teach it that quick. That's why I was like, let me teach you something really quick that you can do in the here and now. If you start to feel that, let's get your brain reconnected. So then, first of all, body talk. Thank you so much, body. Even if you're saying in your head, thank you so much, body, for letting me know that something does not feel safe here, that I feel a little bit triggered. Now is not the place for to process this. So let's do that at night. And then the second thing is, okay, I got to reconnect my brain. So just doing that cross crawl right over, and you can do it right under the conference room table, and most people will never even know.
Yes, so good, so good. Thank you for that tool. All right, audience, let's do it just once here. Come on, cross crawl, cross
It
crawl.
it's so
Yes,
simple.
reconnect. Yes, so simple, and yet it works. And I like to remind people that you don't have to know how it works necessarily. Just understand that it works. And as you do it, then you'll be able to see that it's working. Just like you don't have to know how electricity works. You know, when you go turn on your light switch, as long as you paid your bill, you expect that light to come on. You don't know all the mechanics, but you know that it works. It's just one of those tools that you can readily use. It doesn't cost anything other than it provides you with more peace of mind. And so thank you, Cate, so much for that. So you said a number of things, and I know I just focused on that because I just wanted the audience to do that as an example. But remember, you want to stay in your body, you want to acknowledge your body, you want to thank your body for alerting you. And then if it's not the time to deal with it, if you don't have a way out to go to the restroom or something, you want to acknowledge what you're feeling so you won't suppress it. And later on, and trust and believe, your subconscious mind is going to remind you later on at night that you need to deal with that situation. It's not going to forget. It's not.
No. And if you choose not to do it that night, and like on the weekend, your body will be like, "What's up? I got a pain in this," and it's like, "Remember, we were gonna have a little chit chat," because this is one of the best things that I tell people all the time. The one person you are with 24/7, 365 on this planet is your body. Your
Yes.
body has your back. Your being is in your body. And so if you can't do it that night, be like, hey, you know what, body? Let's have a little chit chat about this and let's start to release this. Maybe we do it on the weekend, you know, but find a time where you can really acknowledge that because there was something that came up. There was something that got triggered. Well, there's an opportunity to release that. You don't have to keep that. There is no reason to stay in suffering on this planet. I'm like, we live in the 21st century. Yeah.
So good, so good, so good. Yes, yes, yes. And so, can you let me see here because I got a lot of questions for you. I want to make sure I'm not duplicating my question. Did I just ask you, can you explain the connection between intuition and expanding consciousness? Did I ask you that question?
Yes. So essentially, when we go into that slower cycles per second in the brain, so in the alpha brainwave state, and we're able to be there and we're at ease, it's literally like all the barriers go down. So you have access to more information. When you have access to more information and you're picking up a hit, because I'm an energetic being, you're an energetic being, you're putting out energy, you're putting out emotions, I'm putting about energy and emotions. Guess what? I can pick up and be like, oh my gosh, Michelle feels really at ease. Oh, this feels so good. I feel at ease. We're connected. So there's an intuition. You're getting an intuitive hit. My energy is picking up on your energy. So, how does that expand consciousness? Well, we've all walked into a room, and sometimes, have you ever walked in a room where you're like, ooh, someone just had a fight and this is awkward? And you can feel that energy and you're like, ooh, I don't really want to be here.
Right.
That's your intuition. Your energy, your body, this beautiful body that you have, is picking up on the information of energy from the other people in the room. So guess what? That's like, oh my gosh, take your hand. Thank you so much, body. Thank you for picking up the information. Thank you for having my back. Now, knowing someone had a fight, you have options. Well, what are some of the options based upon the information you got? The option could be like, one, woo, you guys okay in here? There's a little bit of interesting thing going on. Or number two, my spidey senses are picking up on something. Are you guys okay? Three, do we need to just shake it all out? Get off this energy that we're all kind of feeling? What do we need to do so we can get back to a place of feeling calm? So the thing is, you can even call out what is going on and say, hey, do you guys need to go solve that, take care of that? Or can we move forward?
Hmm.
So your body is picking up, so just a little bit more information. Your body's picking up information. Thank you so much, body. Then your intuition, you've picked up the intuition, your body's picked it up. You receive the translation of what that means. Then what can you do? You can use that information to help you in the situation, to help you have the words to say, you know what, it feels really awkward in here. Do you guys need to take a moment outside? Take that outside, and then we'll get started on the meeting. Or you guys, can we just release that all and do a start over? Let's do a timeout and just do a do over. You can use lots of different things because that's information that you're receiving.
Yes, yes, so good, so good. So let me ask you a couple questions. I've had it on the good side and I've had it on the not so good side. So the first example, I know when I'm in the shower, and we hear that a lot, when you're in the shower, you get messages, you get information
Mm.
because of the fact that you're in. I don't necessarily know, and you can answer this for me, but what state you're in, but I know that you're in a calmer state and you're not focused on all the outside noise and what have you, so you can receive better. And I know for me, I've received a number of messages and I acted on them and the outcome was good. It was like,
I
okay,
love
I
that.
was told do this, and I go, and I'm like, okay, I do that. Now, on the other hand, I was told one time that my child was going to be in a car accident. I was like, "Oh Lord, have mercy." I was told that.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't do anything about the information because I heard it and I went on about my business. But then she called me and I just said, "Where are you?" Because I knew
Yeah.
already, but I had been told that earlier in the day. And so my question to you is, when you get an intuitive hit like that, what is something that could change that dynamic? Because I'm like, could I have done something once I got that intuitive hit about her in this car accident?
Absolutely, you can. That's part of what I teach in the 4 day. Because once you start to understand how to master your own energy, how to activate your intuition, develop your clairvoyance, and you see things happening, you can shift the energy of it and you can start to change it. So really you become the master over your own universe. And that's the part, because when you are fully connected, when you are aligned, however you choose to call it, divine source energy, God, goddess, whatever you choose, as you are aligned and you're connected and you are receiving these intuitive hits, sometimes you're like, thank you so much for this information. What would it take to change this? What must I
Mm.
change to be so that it can change? Because we live in a world of energy. Most people don't realize this. We live in a world of energy. So I teach Silva Method. I love it. It is a foundation that I recommend everyone teach it. If they want to go beyond, I also teach advanced training. I even do a one-on-one mentorship for a year, because I've had some people say, I need to change my entire life and do a complete overhaul. I'm like, perfect, thanks. Let's start with the basics. Go do Silva Method, the 4-day immersive training. And they're like, why? I'm like, because then you will understand the basics. And then from the basics, because I've apprenticed, I want to say, under 11 shamans. I'm also a curandera. I'm an advanced sound healer. I am trained in multiplicity of modalities. Then we can take that and then you can start to play with energy. It becomes your playground. You have a playground of possibility and of choices. Just because you were born into a family with a DNA doesn't mean you can't change your DNA. Because guess what? You can. And we've got all the research and we know how to do it. And I got to say, like, I'm a big fan of that. I love the Heart Math Institute. They've taught me how to do it. So I have been actively working on that, because there were some diseases that came from the family line and said, no, thank you. I'm not interested. I'm going to change that. So we
Yeah.
have a whole world of possibilities. It's just a matter of, you got to choose to be empowered. That victim martyrhood, you got to put that aside. You got to dump that. But literally, once you choose to be empowered and you have that foundation, sky's the limit. I mean, I gotta tell you about some of the clients I've worked with. Their whole lives have changed. They took the Silva Method and they thought, oh, I'm just gonna help expand my brain, maybe get rid of some anxiety. And then they're like, wait a second, you didn't tell me after the 4 day I would walk out, go to a conference room, and then I'm like, I hear what my coworkers thoughts. You didn't tell me that. And I said, because I don't know. I don't know how everyone's intuition is going to work, but you're going to receive information. The information is not right or wrong or good or bad. It's information. And then how you choose to use it is up to you. Yet at the end of the day, these are tools that you can use to create greater in your life. So if you're like, I don't really like the way my life is headed, maybe I made some poor choices before, guess what? You can change it, but it's all up to the person. I can't change it for you. You're amazing. You have so much knowledge too. You can't change it for them either, but you can change you. And then there is an energetic vibe that goes out, because you're like, hey, you know what? I've been able to change a multiplicity of things. And I don't have a corner on the market. I teach this stuff because I'm like, I know what's possible. I've done it for
Mm.
my life. I teach other people how to do it. And I mean, I've even had some people say, yeah, I've implemented your stuff. I've doubled, tripled, even quadrupled my income, because they had to start changing the way they thought, their mindset, reconnect their brain. And then all of a sudden, all these possibilities started showing up. So it's really up to each person. That's why it's so fun, because it all starts with the brain.
Yes, 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 yes. I just love everything about the brain, because brains rule the world, if you will. And
They
so
do. They
understanding how
do.
to optimize the brain is so, so important. I love when you talked about choice. It's a choice. We get to choose if we want to be better and do better. And again, it all starts in the brain. When your brain is healthy, your life is so much better, if you will. And I heard this recently, and I think it's worth saying, that what you are not changing, that you are choosing. So, like you said, we have all the research, we have evidence that you can change your brain. You're not stuck with the brain that you have. You can learn these tools and techniques to enhance your intuition and your
Yeah.
clairvoyance, or your sixth sense, if you want to call it that, because some people like clairvoyance. Well, maybe, they don't understand that it's really just your sixth sense. You're activating that part of you that people really don't understand. We talk about the five senses all day long, but what
Mm-hmm.
about that sixth sense? And so this is so rich. This is so good. And I wish I would have known to say thank you so much for the information. What
Yeah.
can I do, or what do I need to do to change it, right?
Yes, and that's the part. That's one of the things that I teach. That's not a Silva thing, that's a Cate thing. It is just information. So, I
Yeah.
previously worked in entertainment. I was a talk show host. And not just a talk show host, I worked at a lot of events, the Emmys. I worked at the after parties, at Sundance, at the Oscars. There was information all around me. And you know
Yes.
what? I made choices that I said, no, thank you. No, thank you. But it was all information. And I find it really interesting in the last, I would say, 10 years, a lot of that other information is coming out. And I'm like, yeah, I saw it. And I said, no, thank you. And so
Yeah.
we have that opportunity. At the beginning, you said, yeah, it helps prevent trauma. If you have information, you have choice. And then
Yeah.
you get to choose what you would like in your life and what you would not like in your life. And so
Yeah.
as a result, you get to choose really how you would like your life to be.
Yes, yes, so good, so good. Listen, I call them God bumps, and I just got God bumps. I'm just getting God bumps. Thank you for this information, Cate. This is absolutely wonderful. You see, folks, this is why I wanted her here, for all this information, life changing information, not just information for the sake of information, but things that you can readily apply to make your life better. And it's
Yeah.
in the doing. The only way that you get the results is if you apply the information. And so this is not, I don't even want to call it the tip of the iceberg, because it's even smaller than that. This is just information that can help you get a little further. But if you tap into this information wholeheartedly, your life will be so much better. And Cate, we're going to talk about how they can get in contact with you a little later to find out more about this 4-day program and other things that you are doing to help people go, and I call it further faster with this type of technology. And so, my next question to you is, and if my questions are redundant, let's just unpack it a little bit more, and then we'll move to the next one. And that next question is, what are some practical techniques within the Silva method that individuals can use to develop their clairvoyance?
So there's multiple techniques. We teach over 20. I listed them all out. There's over 50 by the end of 4 days. So I have a lot of people come to me. They're like, I don't sleep. Well, guess what? There's a brain thing going on. And so we teach specifically a tool for that. We also teach several different tools to change the outcome of what you're experiencing in your life. And we also teach other tools about if you're having a hard time or arguing with people, you just can't seem to get along. We also teach tools of how you can shift that and change that. How you can also look inside. Is there something inside of you that's bringing these things to you? Okay, well, then how do we shift that? How do we change that? In addition to that, we teach you memory pegs. So, how do you get a better memory? Because a lot of people are like, I never can remember people's names. I'm like, stop programming your brain for that. Let's start to
Yes.
program your brain for what you actually desire. So it's super fun because as we go through this, I love epistemology. I love actually studying the language of words. And I have studied also with the science of namology. The words we use matter. There's an energy that goes out with the words. So let's just do a little example. And this is something that I do in class. So everyone just close your eyes. And when I say the word problem, where do you feel that in your body?
Ooh, I just felt it in my stomach.
Yeah. What did that feel like?
Say
Did it
that
feel good?
again. Oh, no, it did not feel good.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'll have you close your eyes and then just notice how this word feels. Issue. And where do you feel that?
I can't say where I felt it in the body, but I actually felt some relief from the way
Yeah,
I was feeling from the word problem. I
exactly. So
actually,
the thing is, what people don't realize because they're like energy, I'm like, there is an energy to every word that we speak. Your body picks up on energy. My body picks up on energy. That's information. Thank you so much, body, for this information. So, as a result, I teach lots of different tools all throughout the Silva method so you can really up level your life. So if you may come and say, you know what, I just want a better relationship. I've had a lot of people say, I feel stuck and I don't know how to get out. I got to tell you, like after the 4 day, they have clarity, they have information, and they know the best way to move forward. And they may only know the first next best step. And then they have the tools so they can keep moving forward. And in addition to that, like if someone's a new student and they come and work with me and they take the 4 day, I give them a free coaching session. So like, I'm using the tools, I got questions. I also, once you're a graduate of the Silva Method, I have a monthly call. So you can ask more questions. That's included once you're a graduate with me. You can ask any questions you want. You say, I want to work on this. I want to do this. So I do a free live meditation every first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Pacific, every third Sunday of the month at 6:15. That's for all the Silva graduates. So it's like, hey, we're practicing this. I want to do this, this, and this. Oh, I've lost something. Can you help me find it? And so this is where we just keep working on our tools and keep up leveling and helping, because as we help ourselves, we help others.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So good. So good. So I just want to just dovetail here and talk about neurochemicals in the
Yeah.
body, because we know that when you talk about words, they also, as
Hmm.
we, people may not want to hear this, but you're casting a spell with your words.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your
And
body's reacting accordingly.
exactly. And your body's activating neurochemicals as well. Every word that you speak, your thoughts, not just your words, but your thoughts as well. You're activating neurochemicals in your body. And when you talked about people arguing with people and can't seem to understand why or what have you, this is where this triggered the thought about the neurochemicals in the body, because some people get addicted to the way they feel, and they feel tense, stressed, lousy for so long till they get addicted to that feeling. And then when everything's going smooth and they're not feeling that tenseness or what have you, then they need to create the havoc to get those neurochemicals activated within their brain so they can go back to that state of how they normally feel. Like if everything is
Yeah.
going good for them, their mindset is, oh, everything is going too good. Something must be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not that it's wrong, it's right. That's the way you're naturally supposed to feel good. You're
Yeah.
supposed to, you know, feel, just say healthy, if you will. And
Yeah.
so can you just help me unpack that a little bit more
Yeah.
for the audience?
Absolutely. So every time we speak, we create. So this is one of the examples I love to share. Like, let's say you got in a car accident. Do you say, "Ooh, that was a mistake. We're okay. We're good to go," or do you call up 20 people and tell them about it? Because as you call up 20 people and you tell about it, guess what you're doing? You're passing that energy on. You're passing it. And then you're like, hey, universe, guess what? I really like this. Bring me more. So you are literally doing that. So when it comes to the neurochemicals, not only what we speak of is what we create, it's what are the chemicals? What's the pharmacy within your body are you creating? So as you had mentioned this, that is a program that someone has running under the hood. I call it under the hood. That's the subconscious. Why? Because our subconscious rules the show. So the majority of people grow up in dysfunctional families. The reason why I say that, that is a stat I learned on those committees. 98% of Americans grow up in dysfunctional homes. You know what that means? 98% of Americans do some type of warring, whether it's silence treatment, arguing, finding fault, you name it. Guess what? That's a program, that's a pattern running in the subconscious. There's an opportunity to change that. If you would like to create better in your life, you can change that. And the Silva Method teaches a lot of tools so you can do that. And why do I say that? Because I was one of those 98 percenters. I grew up in a family where there's a lot of rah, 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 rah. That's what I call it now. I'm like, there's plenty of rah, rahs. That's great. I'm not interested in rah, rahs. I don't do it in my life. However, if you look at other family members, that's all they do. That's their choice. I learned this and I was like, ooh, we're going to change some stuff about me because I desire that change. That is not how my relationships are. That is not how it functions. So you have the opportunity to change that. Then you change the neurochemicals. Then you also change what's going on. A lot of people have an addiction to that adrenaline rush of having power over someone. Well, if there's that addiction, guess what? There's usually a suit following of five or more: shopping, eating, drugs. television, social media. So there's really an opportunity. If you would like to be in control of you and you would like to choose, these are the tools that I teach. And this is a basic foundation. So you can start to change your whole life if you so desire. Some people don't want it. Like, I'll be frank, like I saw some things. I have a corporate job that I do. And then I also teach this on the weekends and at nights. And it was a year ago, July, I went into meditation and I saw what was about to happen, that there was a mass layoff. I
Mm.
called a friend and I phoned a friend and I said, hey, sometimes you get passionate. You may want to tone that down. I saw this. She said, Cate, that's the most ludicrous thing ever. They've never had a layoff. I said, I just know when I see things, like, just be aware, be cautious. And so
Mhm.
what did I do? I started working on myself even more. Like, let's not get passionate. Fast forward 3 months. Guess what happened? Mass layoff.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
it continued to happen in the thousands. Now, that is something that I attribute to. I continue to do this 3 times a day, 15 minutes a day. I do my tools. I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh, one and done, I took the class. That no, I use it daily. I use it for every single thing, and it helps make my life better. These are tools. These are tools that I wish were taught in school, because it can make anyone's life better and everyone's life. You just have to practice the tools. And that's what this
Yes.
is about.
Yes, that's the
Now,
part. You have,
information.
yes, practicing the tools, applying the tools. You only get the results when you apply your tools and your information. Recently, it feels like I've been going through something major, right? And so I'm glad that you said that about calling and telling other people. And I realize that I've shared it with a number of people, and realizing that that can keep it fueled, if you will. And
It keeps the
so
energy going.
yes, exactly. And so then I need to stop that first and foremost. So I won't even reiterate it here, only to say that I've been using my tools more. I've been digging deeper in order to continue to push myself forward,
Yes.
because what I have been dealing with could be like something like, hey, I'm just going to throw my hands up. But because I have the tools, I've been able to keep moving forward. And I'm so grateful for that. And I actually thank myself on a daily basis for wanting to use the tools and using the tools, and thanking God that I have the tools, and just really stand in that gratefulness because I am using what I have, and so it's so good. We have a number of questions. We don't have that much time, so I want to get to my next question. So good. Thank you. How can enhancing your intuition and your clairvoyance impact your personal and professional decision making? So let's just land on your professional decision making, because I think personal, we really hit that a lot. So let's
Yes.
talk about from a professional
So
perspective.
I just shared that one example there. I saw
Yes.
the information coming. And so I said, you know what? I care about this person and I know this person gets passionate. I'm going to just say, like, we want to tone that down a little bit, you know, because some people can take passion and get really up in arms about it. So, really, how does it help us professionally? What are you looking to achieve? So, if you're looking to get promoted, if you're looking to make more money, if you're looking to create something different, you can apply these tools in all those ways. And it can make it so much more fun. I mean, I'll be honest, like, I had a really awesome situation happen the other day. This was about a month ago, and I asked for more. I asked for better. And I specifically went into meditation and I said, I am not making a request, I'm making a demand. I'm making
Mm.
a demand for better. I'm commanding to receive better. That was Friday night, because I usually do meditation morning, noon, or sometimes after lunch, sometime in the afternoon, and then at night. And so that was in the evening. Well, fast forward to Wednesday morning, someone I had interviewed with prior reached out and said, hey, Cate, just so you know, we have a new position and I thought of you because I know you've been implementing IT, you're really good at this. And I was like, when you receive those things, you're like, thank you. Yes, please. Thank you. And so, I wound up having 3 interviews, and now at this point they said they'll let me know. So it's one of those things, as you put it out there, as you align to be able to receive that, it can come into your world. But if my energy was, I was calling up people in rah rah rahings, it'd be really difficult to receive that. Does that make sense? Because I would have made a blockade of energy of rah rahs, like rah 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 rah, that it could not have come in. It's another thing of
Yeah.
like going through a challenge and you're like, I need some counsel, I need some advice. Get some counsel, some advice, implement it. But put out the energy, put out the desire, the feelings that you have. So it's like, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, please. Yes, I'll have more of that. Yes, please. That's a very different energy than like rah 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 rah. You know?
Yes, I love that. Don't be rah 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 rahing, folks. Okay.
Well, it's the
There.
same thing. You know, in the professional atmosphere. If you're wanting to move up, are you rah rahing people? Or are
Yeah.
you in this space of thankfulness to say, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this opportunity. What a delight. This is so much fun. And genuinely feel that. Because if you don't feel it, like if it's not genuine, people will pick up. Like they'll know, like,
Yes.
that's not authentic.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. God bumps again. My God bumps. Yes. So, how does practicing though the Silva method differ from other mindfulness or meditation practices? I hear you say you get into your meditation. So, how is it different?
So Silva Method meditation, it is where you get into the alpha brainwave state very quickly, and then at that point, you are able to release stress and trauma, or also create. And so you, it doesn't take you 20 minutes to get in there. If you heard, like 15 minutes 3 times a day, and if I could only do 5 minutes, I only do 5 minutes. But it doesn't take 20 minutes to get in, then another 2 hours to do your thing, then 20 minutes to get out. So I previously I did TM for a number of years. I loved it, but who has 2 hours a day for that? I didn't. And so with Silva, one of the reasons I loved it is I was like, I can get in and out, get stuff done. Like get in, I program for my day, and then I can basically plan how my day's going to happen. Sometimes there's pivots, but for the most part, you're commanding energy. And so you're
Mm,
shifting and changing how things happen. Like one of my favorite things to do you ever go to the airport? I plan how that's going to go to my airport. So I talk it. I plan it. I do my meditation. I talk it into place. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful. I get the easiest parking space. And then the shuttle just shows up and comes and picks me up. And then I go to pre-check and TSA. Oh my gosh, no one's in the line. I get straight through. I get right there. Oh, and then they bump me up and I'm in comfort or I'm at first. Thank you so much. Like I literally do this, and it is so fun because you get to be the creator. You get to create all of this. But you know, if you want to do the opposite, you can totally do that too. I know lots who do that. I just am like, I'm not really interested in the poop stories. It's kind of yucky. It's the ick.
yes. Yes, Kate, that is so good. I love that. Okay. I have not tried that. I am starting today because that felt so fun too. Listening to you describe, just
Oh
going through
yeah.
the motions. Yes, it felt expansive. It felt so good. So thank you for that. That was so good. Okay, girl, you done gave me goosebumps, God bumps. I call them God bumps, so let me keep with my God bumps. Oh, this is so good, so good. Okay, so can you share any scientific research? And I guess you really don't, but
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just going to ask you because I have it on my list, or evidence that support the effectiveness of the Silva method.
Oh yeah. I sent you a whole packet. It's like 47 pages of all the research they've done, how they've been able to lower anxiety. This is specifically Silva method, not just meditation. Lower anxiety, lower depression, have them be more effective at work, more productive at work. Also, I mean, the thing is, like, once you start using your brain in a way that works for you, you can create. And here's the most fun part, then you can outcreate what you created. And I was like, oh, that was really fun to create that. Now I'm going to outcreate that and outcreate that. That you can keep creating better for yourself and for others. And that's the key thing with Silva. May the best for all involved occur. And that's one of the reasons I like it. Because I've had some people call me, well, what if I want to take someone out? I'm like, that is not this, and I am not your person. I cannot help you. If you're looking to create better in your world, I am your person, because you can literally it's a choice. You can choose to deprogram and reprogram those programs that were created from womb to 8 years old, because we all got them.
Yeah.
And if anyone's like, I didn't, I'm like, then you're that 2% unicorn I've been waiting to meet my whole life, because I know they exist on this planet, because statistics told me there's 2% that had no trauma, no dysfunction. I was like, I haven't met them yet, but I look forward to meeting one.
Right, exactly, exactly, yes. And so let me we only have a few more minutes, and I want to make sure that I ask you've answered so many of the questions that I have here. One other question I want to ask is, what are the long-term effects of practicing the Silva method on personal growth and life satisfaction?
um, I like, where do I start with the magic that happens in terms of the information that you can receive? Also, because part of what I teach in the 4 day, on the last day, I teach remote healing. So you can heal yourself, you can work on yourself, and you can work on your loved ones. So your abilities to see, to feel, to hear, to taste, to touch, to know, they augment and you keep up leveling. The more you practice, the better you get, the better you get. So let me give you a story. I got a call from a friend who knows I teach this, who I haven't been, and they're like, I love what you do, but I'm just going to call you when I have a problem. I'm like, okay. So I got a phone call, and their dog had eaten chocolate. And so they said,
Mm,
Cate, can you please help? Like, we know, and it's a holiday, and how are we going to do it? It was late at night because it was like 11 p.m. I said, I got it. I'm on it. And so I used the remote healing techniques that I teach on day 4. And I said, okay, I've removed it out of your dog's body. Please go take your dog outside, because literally he's going to have diarrhea in about 2 seconds. Otherwise, it will be all over your kitchen floor. And so it's like, you can use these tools and you continue to up level, and it's all about creating betterment in your own life, in other people's lives, if you so choose, because at the end of the day, we only have choice over ourselves. Some people can choose to receive it or not. A dog, they hang out in the alpha state. So the minute you start going into meditation in the alpha state, shifts and changes. So long term, it shifts you, your body, your life. You up level your little beings, your little fur babies. They up level. I got to tell you, this dog, after I did that, every time I was on a video call, the dog could be upstairs and just either heard my voice or felt my energy, running, and then was like, I'm here. Like, literally
yeah.
right next to my friend. It's like, I'm here. How are you? Hi. And so they know, they recognize that you desire the best for them. And so
Yes,
long term
yes.
effects, your life keeps getting better, better, and better. There may be more challenges, but that's okay. You've got the tools to be able to handle them. And then for me, it becomes really fun. So we did a scavenger hunt last month for our Silva graduate. Um, Normally, I do an hour on Sunday nights, but we did it earlier in the day. And so I brought some different rocks like amethyst and things like that. And so I also teach remote viewing. And so I had everyone, I put them into a meditation, and then I asked them to see with their eyes closed. And I have to tell you, it was so phenomenal. I loved how they were able to go straight to it. And they're like, ta-da! Because they're
Yeah.
flexing all these muscles in the brain that most people don't even use. So the long term effects, it's so much awesomeness and betterment that it just, for me, it's super fun. It just creates so much fun. And it's like, well, how does it get better than this? And it's like, well, let's find out.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm loving everything about what you are talking about. So, what do you say to the person who says, "Oh, that's all woo woo. That's woo woo." What do you say to that person?
You know, that may be your world. In my world, I choose where I am a potent creator, and I get to choose and I get to create, and I'm a co creator. Like I said,
Yes.
if you call it divine source energy, God, goddess, however you call it, I'm a co creator, and I get to choose and I get to create. So you can be you in your world, and I'm going to be me in my world. Because I have some people say, well, I have this horrible blah, blah, blah disease, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, do you want to change that? You don't
Hmm.
want to? Okay, that's a choice. For me, I've come across some pretty intense diseases. And I've said, okay, thank you so much, body, for letting me know. I now know I have some work that I got to do under the hood in my subconscious. So, guess what I did? I was able to reverse thyroid cancer. I've been able to reverse so many things that people say are not possible, and I used all my tools and more. So it's a matter of we get to choose what our world looks like. So if someone's like, that's woo woo, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to do my whatever you choose to call it, but it works really well for me, and I'm having a blast over here.
Right. Well, and I want to add to that, and I'm so glad that you said all of that. Is that if someone is thinking it's woo woo, then think about this. You're able to watch us today through the ether.
Mhm.
You're able to pick up your cell phone and call someone. When the person who decided to come up with this technology, if you will, because
Mhm.
they got the download, they actually got a download to do it. And let me go to the remember the man who I can't call his name right now, but he decided he wanted to create the radio, and he knew how to do it, and they thought he was crazy, and they
Yeah.
committed him because they couldn't see how he could do such a thing. And one of the individuals in the the place where he was committed, if you will, they believed in him and they helped him bring the radio to market. And so I just wanted to bring that out because people think that some of this stuff is again woo woo, but it's not. It's the same
Yeah.
way that again you're able to hear my voice. I'm able to look at Cate. I'm able to hear her voice. You're able to look at both of us. How is that possible? So when you start thinking this is woo woo, think about that. And so, Cate, we are out of time now. So I want to ask you, where can our audience reach you? What do you have going on, and where can they reach
I have
you?
a lot of fun things coming on. So basically, for Black Friday, I went ahead and I set up an introduction to the Silva Method. So on Sunday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific, come and check out the Silva Method. It's 90 minutes and it's $155. And you may say, oh, why 155? Then if you decide to sign up for the Silva Method over the 4 day that we're doing December 28th through December 31st, just in time for New Year's, so you can put out everything you desire, all of that is applied for the tuition. So it's basically you just got it free. So in it, you'll learn about the Silva method. I'm going to teach you a couple tools. I'm also going to teach you how to go into the alpha brainwave state. So you basically get a sample of if you're like, oh my gosh, wait, this is a possibility. Then you can apply all of that to the tuition over the 4 day and then get ready for a brand new 2025 and what do you want to create. So I've got those two things. And then if someone already is a Silva grad, that's fantastic. I teach advanced energetics. So if they're like, I already got the basics, I want to go beyond. I would like to bring in my dream life or my dream car or dream spouse. Guess what? I'm going to teach you other tools to do that, where we do quantum jumping. We just have a whole bunch of fun. And so that will also be on Sunday, November 17th in the afternoon, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific. So in the morning is the introduction, and in the afternoon, that's when we'll get into the details. So if people want to learn more, they can go to heal.me/Silva Method West. I even have a complimentary consultation if they're like, hey, I want to check out and see if we're a good fit. Trained in a lot of stuff, but I'm like, there is no reason to suffer on this planet. We've got tools and we've got
Yes.
abilities.
Yes, so I'll make sure that all of your contact information is in the show notes as well. This has been wonderful. I don't want the show to end. It must end. The show has come to an end. This show can be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check it out at spanglishworld.ca for all the news, programming, Spanglish World. You can watch it, you can hear it, you can read it, you can download it, and you can live it. Thank you so much, Cate. This has been wonderful. We'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Michelle. It's